wanted to do so many things for years. Start social media, share my ideas, create stuff that I actually cared about. But I never did. Not because I couldn't, but because I was terrified. Terrified of judgment. Terrified of how people would perceive me. Terrified of sounding dumb, or looking awkward, or out of place. I'd scroll through my phone at like 2 a.m., staring at something that I wanted to post. But instead, I started imagining every reaction, and then I go and delete it. I even remember sitting at a coffee shop once, rehearsing a greeting to a stranger in my head. My hands were sweaty, and I left without saying a word. And I thought to myself, wow, that was pathetic. But the truth, no one noticed. Not a single person cared. And one day, it hit me. The only person I'd been performing for all along was me. The version in my head, constantly watching, judging, predicting. So I started anyway. And that's when everything began to change. The problem isn't other people. It's the fact that we watch ourselves too much. Not living, just monitoring our words, our gestures, even the way we laugh. There's this little voice inside our head. Mine, I named it Wolf. It's easier to tell him to shut up. So, Wolf always whispers inside my head, saying, that was weird, that was a bit awkward, that wasn't comfortable, you looked stupid. And psychologists call this overactive self-monitoring, or the internalized audience. And here's the shocking part. Half of you is living, and the other half is always performing. Have you ever replayed something embarrassing inside your head for hours? If you ever did, that was the internal observer at work. And if you stick with me for the next few minutes, I will show you exactly how your brain tricks you and how you can finally act without fear. So, think about the last awkward thing you noticed in someone else. How long did you dwell on it? 2 seconds? Less? Your brain forgets that. It predicts threat instead of reality. This is called projection. It's your insecurities bouncing back as judgment from others. So suddenly, it feels like everyone is watching your every move. But here's the secret. Most people aren't even noticing the tiny things that you obsess over. I once was cringing over buying this pink jean, and I didn't feel confident going outside wearing it. But as soon as I stepped outside, everyone was asking where I bought it from and how good I looked wearing it. And here's where it gets tricky. Even understanding projection doesn't always stop fear. Why? Because your brain is wired to overestimate social threat. But that's exactly what we are about to hack. So, how do we break free? Not by telling yourself to stop caring. That doesn't work. You start by noticing it, then acting anyway. For me, I started small. I started saying what I actually thought without overthinking. I stopped readjusting myself mid-action to look better. At first, my brain and the little voice, Wolf, was screaming, stop. This is uncomfortable. This is weird. But I didn't stop, and nothing bad happened. No one reacted like I imagined, and no one noticed nearly as much. That's when my brain started rewiring itself. Psychologists call this exposure therapy. It's basically facing feared situations repeatedly until fear is dissolved. And here's the beautiful part about it. Your brain literally starts expecting freedom. Every action you take reinforces the belief that I can exist as I am and that it's okay. This isn't just advice, this is science explaining why acting anyway actually works. So there is intrinsic motivation, which is basically doing something for yourself, feels different than chasing approval. Validation from people fade, but creating for yourself sticks. Embodied cognition, your posture affects your mind. You need to stand tall, shoulders relaxed, chest open. Your brain will read that as I am safe, and fear loses power. Then there is internal locus of control, which is basically your worth isn't someone else's reaction. It's already inside you. Trust that. And imagined eyes will lose its grip. There is also projection, those judgments that you think other people are casting often are your own insecurities bouncing back. Finally, there's metacognition. Noticing your thoughts lets you pause before spiraling. In that moment, you need to think, is this thought helping me? That will create space to let you act anyway. So every principle that I mentioned connects to the next, creating a neural pathway for freedom. It's why the same action keeps getting easier each time you do it. Even after understanding this, fear sneaks back in. It doesn't vanish completely. I posted once, and the first comment was how I stuttered. I cringed for 20 minutes and I was debating on whether to delete that or to leave it. Then I realized that no one really cared. Think about the last time you hesitated to post, or to take pictures in public, or to speak, or act. Now imagine doing it anyway. Weird, right? That's exactly the edge where growth lives. Each small step reduces anxiety, strengthens confidence, and weakens the internal observer. It weakened mine. Wolf, I just tell him to shut up, and boom. And yes, sometimes it is messy, sometimes you stumble, and that's the point. Freedom isn't perfect. Also, you need to keep in mind that we only get one life. If we spend it performing for imagined eyes, we're not really living. You owe it to yourself to exist freely, imperfectly. Even if people notice, even if you stumble, even if it's awkward or cringe, because freedom isn't about never caring. It is about caring without letting it control you. Now, circle back with me. You weren't trapped by other people. You were trapped by your internal observer. Projection inflates danger. Exposure therapy proves that threats are imagined. Intrinsic motivations fuel authentic action. Embodied cognition reinforces confidence. Do it enough, and your brain learns that I can exist, I can be myself, I can act, and I can create. Over time, something shifts. You stop replaying everything. You stop needing perfection. You stop shrinking in your head, and you will start living in the moment. You can exist fully, freely, and perfectly. Even if you think, what do they think? It's just a thought, not a command. Every time you act anyway, your brain remembers that freedom is possible, and slowly it becomes your default. So remember that we only get one life, and you owe it to yourself to actually live it, to create, to speak, to fail, to act, to laugh, to exist. because you finally stop letting the imagined eyes in your head stop controlling your life. And that is freedom. And I hope you experience it and this video helped you.